And now, my friends, if you're in for the weekend and you're not watching the football or listening to the radio, make sure you catch some of the Freeview film recommendations coming your way right now from me, Paul Ross, and our main man each and every Friday, Van Friday. In fact, it's Van Connor. Good morning, Van. How's your week been, mate? Have you seen any big new blockbusters for us you can tell us a tiny bit about before we get onto the Freeview recommendations?
Well, I have seen the big blockbuster that's out this week, which is, of course, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think that's pretty much what everyone is flocking to see this weekend, which is, do you know what? It's fine. I won't say it's any more than that, but it's fine.
Okie dokie, and it's bound to make an awful lot of money. Whether it will spawn another sequel, I suppose, remains to be seen with that Chadwick Boseman. Let's go to your first recommendation, though. It's a one-word title, a four-letter word. It's Life.
Yeah, this is a weird one because there are so many movies called Life that you have to check which one you're talking about. Like, this is, the one we're talking about is from 2016. There was literally one a year earlier starring Robert Pattinson and Dane DeHaan, but we're talking about the 2016 Daniel Espinosa directed, Ryan Reynolds, Rebecca Ferguson and Jake Gyllenhaal starring one, which I think was sort of stealth marketed as a potential sort of origin setup movie for Venom, even though that didn't turn out to be the case. It's set on the International Space Station. The idea is a bunch of international astronauts get together, they find a single-celled organism in space that they determine to be, you know, sentient life. They name it Calvin, for reasons I completely forget, if I'm being honest.
Maybe they were inclined to do that. See what I mean there? I apologise in advance for some more terrible puns on the show this morning.
You're justifying that salary, Mr. Ross. You really are. So this is, of course, you know, the alien mutates. It grows. It expands. It becomes more horrific, larger, more threatening. And, well, it's a horror movie in space. I've got a clip for you. This is on Great Movies tonight at 9 o'clock. It's not the best movie you've ever seen, but it's a solid, you know, it's a solid riff on, you know, Ridley Scott's classic Alien with a bit of, you know, contemporary NASA science thrown in for good measure. I've got a clip for you of the scientists freaking out at things going wrong.
In space, no one can hear you scream, but they can in your front room. Here we go.
What's going on? Miranda?
Nothing in that lab can malfunction.
It's on me. Yeah, it's on you. You know, I know at least 5 guys back home who can do my job. Nobody can do yours except you. You don't know what it is. And you're in there and you're playing around with it like it's your buddy. I'm your buddy.
This will never be a controlled experiment. So let's all agree we made our first and last mistake.
If only that's proved to be the case, our first and last mistake. Oh dear. So remind us when that's on again, Van. It's on tonight, isn't it, this evening?
Yes, so that is on tonight on Great Movies at 9 o'clock. It's worth checking out. It's got a nice, you know, Frank Darabont, The Mist style closing that I think is worth the movie on its own.
Very nice. Now, I had high hopes of Master and Commander when it came out, I think, in 2003, because I loved all 21 of the Patrick O'Barr and Jack Aubrey books set in the Napoleonic era, directed by Peter Weir, one of my favourite directors, because if you haven't seen The Year of Living Dangerously, folks, do yourself a favour. It's one of the best films I've ever made. I love that movie. And the film isn't bad, but they made a couple of textbook errors, I thought, in it. Jack Aubrey's great, and the cast is fine. The setting is brilliant. Some of the effects look a bit wobbly now, the CGI of the ship at sea. The problem is they took two very different novels by Patrick O'Brien, both featuring Jack Aubrey, and kind of melded them together. So it's really like a kind of made-for-TV cut-down version or made-for-the big screen, rather, cut-down version of a miniseries from the 1970s, if that makes sense. Seems to have great plot holes missing, basically, as I'm sure you know, Van, but the Jack Aubrey, who's this kind of slightly innocent, naive character played by Russell Crowe, he suddenly comes across this French sea captain, who seems very devious, very devilish, and seems to be intent on hunting down Jack Aubrey's ship. So it becomes a duel at sea between the two of them. There's other stuff stirred into the mix as well. The battle scenes are fantastic, I must say, and you really get that sense of the kind of haphazard nature of and the arbitrary nature of life and death on those ships. Boys sailors feature it a lot, including one particularly tragic encounter where a couple of the lads, and then it comes to necessarily sticky ends, but rather sad endings of their careers for a couple of them. And I just thought it was a good old-fashioned high seas one that could have been, I think, the start of something big, because I'd love to have seen another 3 or 4 Patrick O'Brien adaptations. Sadly, it was not to be, because he made money this, but nowhere near enough to justify them reinvesting again in another kind of watery movie.
Now, I'm a big fan of Paul Bettany in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a story, I think it's been proven to be apocryphal now, but there is a story that Peter Weir went in to pitch this and literally walked into the room and just threw a replica of what would be Jack Aubrey's sword onto the table and then just got the deal there and then, which I could believe, but apparently is not actually true.
I mean, the other great thing about it is that sense where if they'd left it 10 years, we'd probably be watching a fantastic Amazon Prime or Netflix series, 5 2-hour movies, because they'd have the money to do it differently, but also to do the books more justice, maybe.
If they'd left this 10 years, we'd have an entire Jack Aubrey cinematic universe going on as we speak, Paul, and we both know it.
As it is, we've got just one film. It's Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. It's on Film 4 tonight, 6:10. It's great, it's old-fashioned, it's swashbuckling, it's daring new. Here's a bit of the old-fashioned trailer.
An act of war will cripple them.
With basic repairs, we can get home as we are. We're not going home.
The power of nature will threaten them.
Our enemy has more than twice our guns, more than twice our numbers, and we are supposed to stop it.
Torn between fulfilling his duty
Captain's not called Lucky Jack for no reason. Phantom or no, Lucky Jack will have it.
and the lives of the men he commands,
Steady!
he must face the invincible.
Fights like you, Jack. A hunter becomes the hunted.
Well then, there's not a moment to lose.
And I think I'm right in saying it was one of the first films, if not the first, to be allowed to film on the Galapagos Islands, because, of course, the far side of the world is the Galapagos Islands, and Paul Bettany's character is meant to be able to... He's kind of just on the verge of developing a theory of evolution when he's called away to fight the battle or something. But great old-fashioned film, this one. And you're going from a film with a 4-letter word title to one with a 3-letter word title. Are you not from Van? It's Ted.
Well, I mean, a lot of 4-letter words spouted in this one, if we're being honest as well. It is, of course, Ted from, I think it's 2012. Feature film debut of Seth MacFarlane, who was already established as, a massive figurehead in the animation world by this point, by virtue of Family Guy, American Dad, and for better or worse, The Cleveland Show. This is the classic story of the teddy bear that comes to life, although Seth MacFarlane naturally twists that to become an R-rated teddy bear. They actually released, as a piece of merchandise, an R-rated talking teddy bear for this movie, and I didn't buy it, and I deeply regret it to this day. If anyone listening has one they want to sell, please do get me on Twitter. Matt Wahlberg is the child who has grown up to be an adult, alongside the magical teddy bear who was brought to life by a Christmas wish by the lonely boy who just wanted a friend. And of course, as the teddy bear has got off the rails, so has the younger boy as an adult. The adult has now entered into a relationship with the love of his life, played by Mila Kunis. But we've all got to grow up sometimes, and as you enter into that great love of your life, you have to give up the things. You have to give up those childhood things, as the poster for Child's Play 2 tells us. And Mark Wahlberg is not quite ready for that.
I must say, Mark Wahlberg, my view of him changed completely watching this, because there are scenes in it. Is this the Ted film? There's a sequel as well, but is this the one where they swap trailer trash girls' names?
This is the exact one. Not only that, that's actually our clip.
There's no way you could have written that sequence. There must have been elements of ad-lib on this, because and Mark Wahlberg's comedy chops in this are fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, because I didn't think Mark Wahlberg could do comedy until this. I saw this on my birthday that year. This was my birthday film. I loved it. And that sequence, which we're going to play the clip of anyway, Mark Wahlberg has apparently improv'd this, and his memory recall is incredible. Apparently he's up at 5 o'clock in the morning and in a hyperbaric chamber for an hour every day.
With 1,000 sit-ups and that kind of stuff. But, even so... I mean, and this film, they were obviously both having the time of their lives as well, both, the voice of Ted, of course, and Mr. Wahlberg himself.
Indeed. So you can see this Saturday night, 9 o'clock, ITV2. It's kind of the perfect time, the perfect day for it. Order your pizzas, get your beers cracked open, enjoy some Ted. Here's Mark Wahlberg proving just how good his memory works under comedic circumstances.
How's work?
Sucks.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, not bad, actually. I met a girl. She's a cashier.
No way, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we should double date or something. You, me, and Laurie, and what's her name?
White trash name. Guess.
Mandy.
Nope.
Marilyn.
Nope.
Brittany.
Nope.
Tiffany.
Nope.
Candace.
Nope.
Don't me on this.
Do you see me with you? I'm not.
All right, speed round. I'm going to rattle off some names, and when I hit it, buzz it, okay?
I will tell you.
You got me?
Yeah.
All right, Brandy, Heather, Channing, Brianna, Amber, Sabrina, Melody, Dakota, Sierra, Bambi, Crystal, Samantha, Autumn, Ruby, Taylor, Tara, Tammy, Lauren, Charlene, Chantel, Courtney, Misty, Jenny, Krista, Mindy, Noelle, Shelby, Trina, Reba, Cassandra, Nikki, Kelsey, Shauna, Jolene, Erling, Claudine, Savannah, Casey, Dolly, Kendra, Kylie, Chloe, Devin, Emily, Becky?
Nope.
Wait, was it any one of those names with a Lynn after it?
Yes.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Brady Lynn, Heatherland,
Tammy Lynn.
Got it. That is such a great sequence. I mean, if there was an Academy Award for a one-off comedy speech, that one would win it. Gold, silver and bronze, hands down. So remind us again when that one's on. It's 10, of course. It's a great movie. It's on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, Saturday night, ITV2, 9 p.m, what a banger.
And a great cameo, of course, from Sam J. Jones, who was Flash Gordon in the 1980 film. He pops up in this one as well, I think. Now, my film is a rather different film. It's a 4-letter word film beginning with F. Don't get your hopes up, folks. It's from 2014. It made money, this film, and it's spectacular. Again, there's an old-fashioned tinge to it, but there's some very disturbing scenes in it as well. It's called Fury. I'm sure people have seen it or heard of it. Starring Brad Pitt, Sheila Burf, John Burnton, who's going through a real purple patch at the moment, and Jason Isaacs is in it as well. Written and directed by David Ayer. Great film, and a great kind of a sense of war towards the end of the Second World War, when the Germans still aren't surrendering. I mean, they've been under Hitler's domination for, 12 years by now, and they also realise that there'll be a terrible price to pay as the Allies roll into Germany and start to uncover some of the dreadful things done in the name of Hitler, done in the name of Nazism and racial purity. I think it was the very first war film ever to use a real Tiger tank that to recover and rebuild from somewhere. Cost 68 million, made 200 million, and there's a couple of very disturbing sequences when the supposedly liberating members of this tank crew, and they are a very odd bunch. You've seen it all from Sicily right through Italy. I mean, they've seen terrible things and probably done terrible things. When they start to fraternise with some local women, and there's this horrible feeling of, a kind of sexual abuse and rape might be in the air. So it's quite a disturbing film, as you'd expect, and very full on with the violence and stuff. I mean, I think I didn't mind Inglourious Basterds, but obviously that was a kind of almost comic meditation on the war. This, I think, was much better, and Brad Pitt's performance in this is so much more convincing, and he starts to look, thankfully, his age in this a bit. I mean, he then sheds the years in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Did you enjoy this film? Or maybe enjoy is the wrong word for this film. Did you like this film?
I think this is an absolute cracker, this film. Massive props to Logan Lerman, because every one of these war movies has to have, the face of innocence that gradually breaks down as they're exposed to the horrors of war. In this case, we get Logan Lerman. I think still best known probably for Percy Jackson. And at this point, this is about the time they were recasting Spider-Man. So he was my vote, actually, for let's get him to be the younger Spider-Man. I also like Michael Pena. I always think he is really solid support. And the idea of having Michael Pena and John Bernthal in the same movie, that alone was enough to get my ticket money. I think this is, as I say, an absolute cracker, and I think one of David Ayer's best movies.
Now, the tank's called Fury. That's written on the side of the gun cannon, and Brad Pitt's character's got the nickname War Daddy, so you get the kind of idea with this one. Here's a chunk of the trailer. It's a fantastic. In fact, this is Brad Pitt inducting his new recruits into life in the tank against the Nazis.
The dying's not done. The killing's not done.
I promised my crew a long time ago I'd keep them alive.
I was afraid you were dead. Where's the rest of 3rd Platoon?
We're it.
Sergeant Collier, I'm your new assistant driver.
Tank school? That's home.
I've never even seen the inside of a tank.
You will. I started this war killing Germans in Africa. Now I'm killing Germans in Germany. Been with these fine gentlemen for years.
These troops get by you. We're all dead in the water. All we got is you.
I won't ask you to do anything I haven't done myself.
It really underlines the mechanisation of death. It's a grim companion piece, this, to Saving Private Ryan. Far less sentimental than parts of Saving Private Ryan. So it's a film, again, I didn't particularly enjoy seeing it, but I thought this is an absolute kind of modern classic on the Second World War. And my final recommendation for Sunday, in fact, I should say that's 5 minutes past midnight, Saturday night, so it just about creeps into Sunday on ITV4.
Oh, you cheat.
But, I thought, basically, if you're still up, it's still Saturday, isn't it? So it's 5 past midnight, Saturday, ITV4. And my final recommendation is a bit of a self-indulgent guilty pleasure. It's Sam Peckinpah's penultimate film, it's not the only film based on a hit single, but one of a few of them, called Convoy, and that was by C.W. McCall, and it was about the time of the CB radio craze, which coincided with the 3-day week in this country, and a real petrol shortage and crisis in the States, when they limited the speed on their freeways, as they call them, I think to 50 miles an hour. Now, the poor old truckers who back and forth across that vast country suddenly were really losing money, and they were taking days, thought you should take them one day. So they started to form these massive convoys, which trundled on like kind of unlinked juggernauts, and of course the police couldn't stop them. This was a genuine phenomenon. The song was sort of about that, and Sam Peckinpah was assigned to direct it. He'd had a terrible checkered career for the past few years. Most of his films were butchered upon release or before release by the studios. he'd added a cocaine addiction to his alcohol problems, so he wasn't in the best of form. And some of this film, I think, was directed by James Coburn, who worked a lot with Sam Peckinpah, and also it stars Chris Christopherson. I think this was his third or fourth film with the great Sam, but he's obviously going through the motions slightly because it is, I mean, because of the way the single worked, all CB callers have what they call a handle, a nickname. The hero of this film's nickname was, and they all called him, it was Rubber Duck. Very difficult to be a leading man. Very difficult to be a leading man with any kind of sex appeal to Ali McGraw if you're called Rubber Duck. What's she going to murmur in bed? Oh, Rubber Duck. I love you. Sounds a bit like a Benny Hill sketch. So, but parking that, Ernest Borgnine's in it. Always a fantastic watch, of course. And we've also got this, the kind of slow motion violent side of this isn't full on blood exploding from chest cavities. There's one of the great barroom punch up scenes, I think, of all time in this. Again, Peckinpah meant to have directed all this, but he certainly presided over the editing before he was fired off the film. And it echoes one in Junior Bonner, which was his modern day western about rodeo riders with Steve McQueen. If you've never seen it, folks, and it's a modern western basically, and it is daft, and being a kind of comedy, it sort of has not exactly a happy ending, but it's not the usual grim ending with Peckinpah. Normally if people go to Mexico, they go to Mexico to die, basically. That doesn't quite happen in this film. It's on a new channel to me, but just a renamed channel called Legend, which you can find, folks, on Sky Channel 148 or Virgin 149, but it is a free channel. It was on Freesat on Channel 137. It is Convoy. I think it was, and here's a revelation about us as cinema goers, me and you, Van, and everybody listening. This was the most profitable film in Peckinpah's film career. And given that the man made, for me, at least 4 bona fide masterpieces, I would say Ride the High Country or Guns in the Afternoon, The Wild Bunch, certainly Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia is an absolute peach of a film, and The Getaway, and this one made the most money. However, if you're a Peckinpah completist, you're going to want to see it. So it's on Legend, it's on 6:25 Sunday evening, and let's get a big 10-4 going to all those truckers out there, whether it's Rubber Duck or not. Here's some of the trailer. Foreign critics, the French always rate him, as they always do, to Richard Peckinpah. He said that when he was making Cross of Iron, this was a big hit on the radio. He said, I'll be driving back after another disastrous say on set, cajoling the actors to do what they didn't want to do and arguing with the producers. This made him feel motivated when he heard, let them truckers roll, 10-4. I don't believe a word of that, of course, because Sam was a great mythologiser about his own past, but an interesting old film. And again, if you love Peckinpah's career, you're going to want to see this one if you've not caught it already. And your final film is all very short film titles apart from Master and Commander. You're going for The Gift. Tell us more, Van, on Sunday.
Well, you know me, I love a good, late 80s, early 90s style for the adults thriller. And this is one of the more recent and solid ones we've had. This was the directorial debut of actor Joel Edgerton, who does turn up to play the sort of psycho of the piece. It's about a married couple played by Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall. They move back to his hometown where by a chance encounter, they meet a kid he went to school with, now an adult like them, named Gordo, and they quickly remember that his name was in fact Gordo the Weirdo, as we are told, and it turns out he really lives up to that title. He's that friend you don't want. He's not really your friend. He just won't go away. And this very quickly escalates into, I mean, I really don't want to go too far. I must say, reasons. It's really
you
mental.
Recommended this film to me in the past, and I caught it. And what's great is, as you get to know Gordo better and the backstory, you suddenly start to see certainly the male lead in a different light, which is fascinating.
Yes.
So I don't want to say what, but it's a really clever film. I mean, it could almost been, it's as a novel, this would have really worked as well, because it's got a real kind of psychological depth to it, and it is very exciting, at times rather scary.
Definitely, a lot hinges upon Joel Edgerton, who is less really an out-and-out psycho, as he is sort of a vindicated, vengeful figure. As you say, there's a lot going for it. There's a lot going on within it, and it takes some very dark and very twisted turns, but it also gives Jason Bateman a chance to do something very different to the sort of affable, everyman comedic type that he generally plays. Also, Rebecca Hall, I think, gets a chance to shine here. I mean, outside of outright horror, which she's normally superb in.
Marvellous. You've got a clip for us, I think, haven't you?
I have indeed. So, this is our couple meeting their would-be psycho for the first time.
Oh, no.
Well, we have to thank him this time.
For what? Coming onto our property without asking? No. This is not troubling to you?
I really don't think that he meant it to be troubling. I mean, he wouldn't say it like that. He just thinks he's giving us some fish.
You know, they used to call him Weirdo in school. Gordo the Weirdo.
Yeah, that didn't take much kind of inspiration to come up with that nickname, though, did it? And, of course, we've got to remind people where they can catch this one on Sunday. What channel is it on and what time, Van?
You can catch this great movies Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. As I say, it is a banger.
And we're over with Halloween now, so I suppose you've got your full focus on Off-Screen, your podcast. Tell us how we can find that today, Van.
You can find us at 8 a.m. on all good podcast platforms. We're under slightly new management. I have taken the co-pilot seat and Adam Ball has taken over as host. So I'd get to be just the film critic for a change. It was a nice change of pace.
Fantastic stuff there. Van Connor and me, Paul Ross, with you each and every Friday, talking Freeview film reviews and a whole lot more. And we're live, my friends, till 5, and that's a wrap.